The first character that I kind of relate to, want to talk about is Thomas builds a fire in the film Smoke Signals. So Thomas is a very blunt and chatty character that always seems to say what's on his mind. I often feel that way as well, though I usually try and to kind of consider other people's feelings. So yet sometimes I find myself getting carried away and I'm just like a little too honest. But Thomas is a type of person that always lightens the mood. And whenever Victor's around, he always tries to lighten his dullness, even though you can't really see it on his face. Not to kind of toot my own horn, but I feel like I try to lighten the mood in most situations. I try to bring in positivity. I also like to share stories, kind of like Thomas did throughout the whole film. Um, Similarly to Thomas, I often turn away from traditional norms and put a spin on society's expectations of me. Throughout the film, Victor is constantly trying to change Thomas into this traditional Native American man, and although Thomas tries to go along with it for a bit, he has loosens his hair and takes it out of the braids and also tries to have a more stoic look. Eventually, he goes back to his old smiling self. I find that society often tries to tell me my place as a woman and what I can and cannot do, but I don't really live by what society says, kind of like Thomas. I find myself being told that this is kind of different, but I find myself being told that women are better than men now in today's society. Women have this superiority complex, and I don't think that's better than women also being told they're not better than men. I think we need to find a middle ground to that, because I feel like now we just kind of are told women should be everywhere because we were so oppressed for so long. We need to all of a sudden we are so important and men aren't as important. And I don't find that correct. So by challenging tradition, that's what I'm talking about. Not really tradition, but more society is telling me I have to be amazing now and I have to reach for the stars. And although Adrienne Rich kind of talked about in her policies of vocation theory, she's redefining women and women are reclaiming their voices. And that's wonderful and that's great. And I do believe we need to kind of, we've reclaimed our voices, but now what are we doing with those voices in a way? So Thomas is kind of going against what people are telling him he should be. I feel that way towards that women are being told now that they have to reach for the stars and that since they have their voice back, they have to do more. But I kind of still want a humble life. And my goal in life is to be a stay-at-home mom and want that. And I think those things should be okay too. And that those things shouldn't be frowned upon. Since I feel like we're going so back and forth to what's okay and what's not, I think it should just be let women be women. Let them do, if they want to reach for the stars, that's great. But also let them be, allow it to be okay for them to live a humble life. But the second person that I relate to is Imogori in the platform film. She's a really organized person and keeps calm in the midst of chaos. I currently work with kindergarteners, which may seem kind of far off from the movie, but still, they drive me crazy sometimes. I constantly am surrounded by screaming kids, and they always find a way to get hurt. Yet I find myself usually remaining calm and dealing with them properly, although the situation is overwhelming. I'm really well-centered. Another characteristic of Imogori is her want for equality, for people at the top of the platform to share the food with those at the bottom, to ration it. She sees the good in humanity, thinking that this is truly possible if the people are willing to try. I try to see the good in everyone. No one is made evil, and most of us have good intentions, but bad executions to those intentions. I believe that if people are willing, equality is possible through the spectrum of society. The rich may respect the poor and understand that their wealth is something worth sharing, while the poor can also respect the rich and recognize that whether their wealth was passed down, earned, or not, they still recognize them as valid, even if it's not something they enjoy. The concept of cultural capital, I believe, can be changed. It's difficult, it's hard, but I feel like there's a middle ground of respect that just can be found. So I kind of see how Imogori is trying to balance the scales.